What's up, Internet? We are back with our boy Neku, which means more awesome loot. Yeah! That I, meant to do back in August. Okay, in my defense, I do that at the end of August to account for all the garage sales and stuff. And I mean, what garage sales, right? Well, actually, there were 4, and I'll talk about them when we get here. But we got loot for the last half of the year of 2020. Coming at you at the end of January 2021. I know my dates. No, I don't. Anyway, we're going to start with a little bit of miscellaneous stuff. We're going to just try and go in order. But starting off with Optimus Prime versus Megatron. The ultimate battle. Also some German here. I don't know. I found this in a little library for free, and I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. And on the back, there's actually a thing saying this is for the Transformers Collectors Club. So maybe this is some kind of neat collectible thing. I don't know. But that has nothing on our next stuff, because we have 2DS games, The Wonder Pets, and the Backyardigans. Hell yeah! Basically, I was wandering around one day and I ended up throwing out some trash, and next to my neighbors, these were just sitting outside their bins. I haven't played them. Apparently they were published, or at least made by 2K, apparently. These are just cases for me, but they do have the games in them, but my copy of Disgaea and Game Center CX do need cases, so that's what those are going to be for. Also, I'm not putting any gameplay in this. That's a mistake. Doing these are actually really easy videos. They're like 3 hours of work, but if I put gameplay in, it turns it into like a month-long thing, and that's why my collection videos are so slow. Next we have a PS2 game that I got from my uncle. My uncle likes to get a whole bunch of stuff and then just give it all away. And here we have a Warhammer FPS. He's not a big fan of FPS, but he does like Warhammer. I'm not super familiar with it. But this is Fire Warrior on PS2. This is also another reason why I'm not showing any gameplay. My PS2 is actually dying. I need to get another one, and I'm not sure I can afford it, but I have this for when I can. So yeah. Alright, next is a bit of a weird story. So, by my elementary school, we have this like big bin for donations for Goodwill and stuff, yeah? Well, there's a big sign outside that says, do not leave donations outside of bin. They will not be collected, and they will be basically just destroyed by the environment. So sometimes, scavengers go and see some stuff. I was walking my dog nearby, and I saw, hey, is that a GameCube? Well, no, it wasn't. It was actually a speaker, but it looked kind of like a silver GameCube. But what was interesting was right next to it was there was a box of Trouble. Or Connect 4, rather, like the dropping little coins into a thing to connect 4, hence the name. But the weird thing was, holding that box open was a GameCube case for Aardman Animations Flushed Away. No game in it, but there was a case. So, it's a game case, I'll take that. My copy of Cubivore needs a case, so why not? Flash forward, like, 2 weeks into the future, and I'm walking my dog again, and this is like several kilometers away, in like the middle of this remote ass field. And I see something shiny, and you'll never guess what it was. I got a disc of Aardman Animations Flushed Away. It seems to be in good enough condition for sitting out in like just the environment and getting snowed on for about 2 weeks, but Also, if there was a cut there, my cat just made the biggest sound ever trying to jump up a sheer wall. It's fun having cats. They always keep you on your toes. Anyway, yeah, I got a copy of Flushed Away. I need a case for it now, though. But, yeah. Okay, next we get sort of into the garage sale territories here. There were a total of 4 garage sales, like I said. The first one was like the second week of August, which is not a good sign, seeing as garage sales kind of start in June? But again, no one was really doing this. But there was like this huge sign that said, block-wide epic yard sale, dun dun dun, dramatic reverb. And it was block-wide in a technical sense, because there was one house on one side of the block, and one house on the other side of the block that were having yard sales, and they just decided to have a huge sign for that for some reason. So I got up early in the morning, and that's not my thing. I'm not a morning person at all. I'm definitely a night owl, but, you know, I got up super early to go to this because if it's block wide, I'm gonna see something cool, yeah? Well, kinda, maybe. The first house, the one at the start of the block, was mostly just baby toys and stuff, but they did have a couple Xbox One games that they wanted $50 each for. And, you know, we're talking like Battlefront and like Call of Duty. They did have Rayman Legends, which I did want, but I wasn't going to pay that much for it. But on the other side of the block, there was literally just a table with some plastic salad bowls that said free. And the best thing about all of this, it wasn't really a block so much as it was a stretch of about 10 blocks down one single street. So it was like a 20-minute walk from one side to the other for no reason. That was fun. So fast forward to the first week of September, and again I see a sign that says epic huge yard sale, and my dad wanted some stuff, so we got together and we wanted to see what this was all about. And this one was actually kind of legit because it was on this huge property by the river that was like an acreage, which makes me sound like I live completely in the boonies, but I don't. I actually live in a really big city. But like their garage was like this huge, absolutely like gigantic barn, and there were like so many tables and stuff. So I find the guy who's like running this thing, and I ask him, do you have any video games? And he says he's never seen a video game in his life. That's a problem for me. But my dad wanted to collect some stuff and see what they had for tools and stuff, because that's his sort of thing. So I hung around and I started looking around, seeing if there was anything for me. And I ended up finding this little statuette of a dragon. And my girlfriend collects statuettes of dragons, so I thought, hey, I'll collect this for her, and this will be like a fun little present in the future. Hopefully she's not watching this. Hey, hun. But yeah, I got this, and while I was looking around, because I wanted to see if there was anything else, like just for me, I saw this weird thing in a music case, like a, I say a music case, it was a case of audio CDs, but the weird thing was, it was like this cooler, like this small drink cooler for some reason that was just storing audio CDs, but it was like this really big case. And I took that as well as the statuette up to the guy running it and asked how much he wanted. He had no idea what to ask for this, and he asked me to make an offer, and I was just like, well, I'm waiting for you to make a starter so I can make an offer. And he's just like, $1 billion, and I'm like, I'll give you 5, and he says yes. So I got that statue, as well as a Sega CD copy of The Prince of Persia. So fun story about me, I don't think I've ever touched a Sega CD or even really seen one. Which is weird because I distinctly remember playing the Sega CD Star Wars game and like this FMV game that I think was called Lodestar. Someone can correct me, but it was like a game where you drove trains in the future and you had to like shoot down things that got in your way or something. I swear I've never touched a Sega CD, but I remember playing those games. But either way, you know, Prince of Persia, it's not a rare, expensive game. The cheapest one on eBay, when I checked, and it was like $14, with the caveat that it was like an extra $200 shipping. So maybe it is actually worth something, I don't know. But, you know, it's not Vey or, you know, Popful Mail or, you know, any of those really big names. But it's kind of cool to collect for the Sega CD, and I'm just happy I have this for the sake of having it. Also, it comes in one of these like giant plexiglass cases like the Sega Saturn discs came in, and I just love these cases. They are absolutely fragile, but they're so damn cool. I really like them. But that wasn't it for garage sales, because I went home, and on my way home I saw another sign for a garage sale, and it wasn't too far away, it was a couple blocks. So I went there, and I've actually been to that house every year for like the past 5 years, and I walk in and I talk to the same lady who comments on how lucky I am to have my hair because she's Scottish and she sees I have red hair and stuff. No games ever. But on my way there, I also saw another sign. So I booked it over there. It was about a block away. And I asked the people running it if they had video games. And someone who was helping set up ran off. No idea. And the other lady said, no, but we do have a box of free stuff. And honestly, I should have asked if I could have gotten the box, because the box was like a treasure box, like a cardboard treasure chest. And spoilers, I've actually been trying to get like a treasure chest prop for these kind of segments because I think it'd be kind of cool. Been looking for about a year now. Can't find one. At least it's in my price range. But I took a look in the box, and I found something that I despise for so many reasons, but I took it anyway because it was free. We have a little Funko Pop, which I hate Funko Pops with a passion. They're the only vinyl figures that ever really took off in North America, and I kind of collect figures a little bit. And to know this is basically all we've got without importing and paying stupid fees pisses me off. But it's also one from Kingdom Hearts, and I don't really like Kingdom Hearts, spoilers. But my girlfriend does, so those two things. That could be a fun little gift for her. And the lady who ran off, she ran back before I was about to leave, and she said, wait, I'm a video game eBay reseller. And in my head I was immediately like, oh, god damn it. Like, if that's what you do for a living, full respect, but you are the bane of my existence and you're the scourge of the earth. This is a bit of a tangent, but a few years ago I actually went to another reseller for eBay toys and games and stuff, and like he had an arcade cabinet of Ninja Gaiden he was charging people $20 a credit for to play, and he had like the most stupid thing I've ever seen. It was like it was a copy of NES Cowboy Kid, which is not an easy to find game, and below it he had a sign that said $800 firm. I saw this sell on eBay for that much yesterday, and I don't want to have to explain this to people, but garage sales really aren't so much about making money. Like, you do get to do that, and it's a fun little bonus, but the biggest thing about garage sales is mostly just clearing space and getting rid of crap you don't want anymore. You can't be charging insane premium prices at garage sales, it just ain't happening. But I talked to the lady at this garage sale who was a reseller, and she had a couple interesting games. She had Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which I've always wanted, as well as Final Fantasy Chronicles on the PS1, the one that was the worst version of Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy IV to ever exist. And I do like both those games. Still want a Super Nintendo version of Chrono Trigger, but what can you do? But I made an offer on them, and she said, no, I want like $80 for each of them. And I was just like, look, I got $40 on me. And even then, that's way too much for Final Fantasy Chronicles. I think you can buy it on eBay brand new for like $15, but then she like stops me and says, and I don't want to make this sound like she's a horrible person or anything, but she came across as so condescending when she just said this. I have this disc, you can have it, it's messed up, you have to get it like resurfaced and then maybe it'll work, but you can take it. And again, I'm sure it was probably her trying to be friendly and trying to like set up a good rapport, but she sounded so condescending, like, here, I have some garbage, take it. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, you'll have to spend money to find out. I didn't like that, but I took it home because, you know, free case, why not? Disc looked fine. I was like, well, maybe it's a deep crack I can't see in this thing. So I took it to my Wii, worked perfectly fine, and I've got a copy of WarioWare Smooth Moves for free. I had to deal with someone being rather condescending. Again, probably not intentional, but she really did come across that she was just trying to get rid of this because it was garbage, so I don't know. But it was free, so I'm not going to say no. And this was my start to the WarioWare series. Never played any of them up to this point. Always had an interest in it, though. And then there was one more thing, not really a garage sale per se, but I was on my way to the shopping institution, supermarket, that's the word, thank you brain, and my supermarket that's local is right next to like this huge field that's like used for like baseball and like dogs and like parties and stuff. Like, it was basically just a baseball diamond with an open field next to it. And someone set up this car and a bunch of tables next to it. And I was like, hey, that guy's got some stuff. Maybe he's selling stuff. Like, this was an official proper car boot sale. He was selling stuff out of his trunk. I've never seen one of these in actuality in like the most technical definition before. But I took a look at his stuff, and he had like this plug and play for $2. And I made an offer on it because I didn't have $2. I only had $5. I asked him if he had any change for this thing, and he said no. Unfortunately, he did not have change for the... no, I had a 10, and he did not have change for that. But he said if I bought this for $5, he'd throw in this for free. So he did. And this might be super useful because I really like playing my PS4 with headset or headphones just to have like ambient audio. But the problem is that headphones typically don't work with the PS4. I don't know well, I know why Sony designed it this way. It's to sell Sony branded headsets, but you know, maybe this will work kind of like that. But more importantly, I got this. It's Namco branded. It has, looks like pole position. Yeah, Galaga, the best Space Invaders game. Namco, so you know that they mean business, although they should have a T there. It should be Namcot. Xevious. Mappy, which means I can't use the audio for this at all or I'll get sued, because for some reason Mappy is like super trademarked with its audio, as well as Miss Pac-Man, which you can't see because of that, but yeah, that wasn't too bad. I'm running out of places to put things without making a huge mess. What can I do? Probably not much. We're gonna balance that and hope that stays there, even though you can't see it anymore. Anyway, as we try and make at least a little bit of room, and I adjust the lights a little bit, that's not gonna work. Better. I got new lights, by the way, so I'm hoping they look a little bit better. So, it was sort of the middle of summer, and I was trying to find anything, because, seriously, this was the best I could do, and, I mean, most of this I didn't get till September, right? So I was looking on eBay for basically anything, and I realized I hadn't done anything with Genesis in a while. And there is one Genesis game I would really like to get. I'm gonna try and fix the shadowing a little bit. That's a little better. There's this Genesis game I really wanted to get called Mazin Saga Mutant Fighter. Unfortunately, really expensive. But I took a look on eBay for Genesis stuff to see like what's the cheapest of the cheap, and like what's the most interesting looking cheap thing I could find. And I found a copy of Dash and Desperados on the Genesis. And this is a weird game. Like, it looks kind of like Wonder Boy, but it's weird because it's like a two-player 2D foot racing thing. I've made a video on this. It's very weird. And it's very trolly, and it's not super well made, but it's interesting. And, you know, that was important to get something interesting, because I like interesting things. Now, that seller also had a few other things they were putting up on sale for best offers, so I decided to make a best offer on pretty much everything there that looked interesting, and that's how I ended up with a copy of Solstice. And I'm not super familiar with Solstice. I'm actually more familiar with, as I continue to try and use my other hand to adjust light, I'm more familiar with its sequel, Equinox, which is another game I really want to get, but it's like an isometric platformer dungeon crawler type thing. It's a very interesting kind of game. I did make a video on this as well, and I'm not sure this is my type of thing, but I had a lot of fun with this, and I look forward to, you know, making a proper video on it in the future. But you know, for a cheap thing I got for like $5, it's not too bad. We also got Rescue the Embassy Mission. This is one of the cheapest NES games you can find, and it's a really damn fun game. I made a few videos on this at this point, but Rescue the Embassy Mission is like Rainbow Six on the NES. Like, you have a team of like stealth operatives who have to sneak around a building, snipe out targets, like eventually they have to break in and kill all the terrorists and save hostages and stuff. It's a very technically complex game and very interesting. Unfortunately, it only has one level, and you can beat it in about 10 minutes pretty easily. I think you can probably do it in 4 if you know what you're doing. I kind of want to see them make like a proper sequel to this, like still on the NES and stuff. Like, I just want to see a more complex version of this game with more levels and stuff. But it's a neat idea, and if you can get it cheap, you should, because it's pretty cool. And finally, from this seller, we have a game I was kind of nostalgic for. We have Digimon World 4. I've been told this game is terrible. Again, it's on the PS2, so I can't exactly play it right now. But this was my intro to the Digimon games. I remember renting it one time with someone, and it was kind of like this 3D adventure-style Diablo game, but with Digimon. And I knew there was a bunch of Digimon games out there, but I'd never been able to find any of them to play them. And I remember thinking this one was pretty good. Looking back on it, it probably is at best mediocre. I've been told it's actually a really terrible game, but when I get a PS2 that's properly functioning, I can't wait to find out. Speaking of PS2 games I can't do too much with right now, we have Finny the Fish. I don't know who this is, but because I have a terrible memory, but someone once commented on my, what was it, Everblue 2 video that game looked like Finny the Fish. And I immediately thought that was like a bad edutainment game, and in my defense, there is a series called Freddy the Fish, which is a bad edutainment series, and I thought it was that. And I looked it up, and apparently this is kind of like a spiritual successor to like the 3D Echo the Dolphin game, and I've never played that game, but I do have another game that runs on that engine, which is the Jaws game. And this is, I assume, very, very family friendly, but also it has like RPG elements and stuff. It looks very interesting, and I can't wait to find some time to play it once I get a PS2 to actually play it. As I bump the camera. Next we have, thanks for your business. Please let me know if you have questions or issues with your item, Lucas Squiggly Lines. I don't know who Lucas is, but inside we have Magna Carta 2, which is... like I said, I've been trying to like get all the Xbox 360 RPGs and stuff because I'm such a big RPG fan. This one was big for me. Haven't had a chance to play it yet. Been playing a lot of Mushihime-sama. Spoilers, but I am pretty excited to give this a try. Even though I've heard at best it's pretty mediocre. But moving on, we've got another game I've made a video on. We have the Munchables. This was a game that I ended up getting because I was nostalgic for it. I remembered getting this a long, long time ago. And I remember thinking, you know, this game is kind of like Katamari, and then I went in and I played it, and I was immediately disappointed by how bad it was compared to Katamari. And the sad thing is, it can't really get away from that comparison. You play these little sort of Pac-Man monster things, eating vegetable invader monster things to grow bigger, and it's basically Katamari with vegetables, except not as good. But it's still kind of a dumb fun time if you can find it cheap. But that was the thing about this thing. I ordered this and another Wii game from this one seller on eBay, thinking that these games I was both really nostalgic for. One of these was going to be like this super rare, expensive collector's item, and the other was actually really, really cheap, and I was right in a way, but I was wrong because I thought this was the cheap one. This one's actually really expensive. It's like $60. And the other game that I thought would be like $100 costs me pennies, which brings me to the next game we have, Blastworks, Build, Trade, and Destroy. This was an interesting idea. This was made by a guy who put up some like freeware, like shmup games online, and they're actually included here as unlockables, but they're really unbelievably hard to get. But this was like a shmup designer kind of game, kind of like those old Digimon games, or Dazemon, or however you pronounce them. But the neat thing is you play like this shmup ship that you design, and you can shoot up other ships, and then they blow up into all the bits that were used to make them, and then you can fly into them and collect them, and they stick to your thing like a Katamari, and then like depending on the angle they stick, that's the way they shoot out. So like if it hits you at like a 45-degree angle, suddenly you're shooting at 45 degrees. It's a really weird and awkward shooter, but it's dirt cheap, and I think it's very, very cool. The problem is a lot of this was, well, it was based on being online via Wii Connect 24, as it boasts, which is no longer around, and neither are the servers that hosted all the things. So really, you've just got the stuff you've made, and if someone saved some files around, maybe you could like import them or something, I don't know. Unfortunately, that's a game that most of its features are kind of no longer around, and that sucks, because it was a neat idea. Alright, I do have another Wii game around here. See, I was looking up like some of the Wii games that looked really, really interesting, and there was this one fishing game that I think was called like Fishing Resort. I really want to get, and unfortunately that game is like $100. What was super cheap, but also apparently really good, was Fishing Master World Tour, which cost me $1. Haven't had a chance to play it yet, but you know, I'm just bummed because the fishing game I was looking for was unfortunately way beyond my price range. Also, the thing that got me into looking up Wii fishing games was like this story in an article I read back in the day, and I found the article and I looked it up, and that game never actually came out, so I'm sad for so many reasons, because the game I was looking for doesn't even exist anymore. Next we've got an NES game I've wanted for a very, very long time. It showed up on my Game of the Year list. We have Xerxes, one of the weirdest named NES games. This is a neat little game that tried to like take Japanese folklore and turn it into like a cybernetic future thing, because North American release, of course. But it's a neat combination of like shooter and like shmup and like platformer, and there's like a little bit of RPG elements to it. It's really neat. There's nothing quite like Xerxes, and if you can find it for a good price, it might be worth it. It's not fantastic. The entire first area is like really ridiculously confusing. You have to attack like this completely nondescript block to get a key to open the first door. It's not great, but the game is pretty damn fun. A game that's a little bit less fun, and from my other list, we have Code Vein, also known as Anime Dark Souls Vampire Edition. That's also weirdly a tie-in with, what was it? God Eater, which was an infinitely better game. Man, I could go for some God Eater. They made a third one, and I didn't even realize until I recorded this. But this game is not very good. The level designs are kind of crap, the story is not fantastic, and there's only like 4 weapons. I mean, there's like 20 weapons, but they fall into the same 4 types and they all behave identically, which I don't care for. I do like that the armor system gives you like different attacks depending on which set of armor you've got, but still that's a small consolation for not really having much to do with actual combat with your weapons. Alright, next we have Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town, which is of course Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town, except they had to change the name because Harvest Moon is owned by Natsume, and they're making crappy versions of actual Harvest Moon, whereas actual Harvest Moon is now called Story of Seasons. Friends of Mineral Town is the best Harvest Moon game, and I like this game a lot. It's one of the few games I've been sinking a lot of time on my Switch in, other than like Bug Fables. So, you know, it's a good game, and I think it's better than Animal Crossing, honestly. And, I mean, I've got problems with Animal Crossing. It was on my poop list for a reason. Next we have Deli Premonition 2. I was super excited about this game, kind of pretty disappointed, though. Like, there's a whole bunch of, like, drama and stuff going on about this and stuff, but really what bothers me is it just doesn't play good. And I mean, the original Deadly Premonition never played great, but this just is basically unplayable, which is a shame because it's a dumb, fun, goofy adventure with everyone's favorite bumbling FBI forensics guy, you know? And the funny thing is, like, when I started, I actually streamed a little bit of it, and like in the first hour, I made all these like dumb jokes about the game, and the game called me on those dumb jokes. Like, you got a skateboard, and I was making jokes about how this was like the next Tony Hawk game. 10 seconds later, you're actually doing tricks on said skateboard. I want to like this game more than I do, which sucks, because I love the original Deadly Premonition. But this one, alas, it's just not good. Next we have a game that I'm... Going into it, I think I would probably hate, but it still interests me. We have Sengoku Basara Samurai Heroes. This is a Dynasty Warrior style game by Capcom. And this is the second game in the series we got in North America, although the first one was on the PS2 under the name Devil Kings because Sengoku Basara was too Japanese, I guess. Never played the original, but I don't like Dynasty Warriors. Well, I don't like Dynasty Warriors 2. Dynasty Warriors 1 is a completely different game no one knows about, but I never liked Dynasty Warriors 2. It was too just monotonous and bad. But some of the knockoffs are actually pretty good, so I'm pretty excited about this all the same. But, you know, it's the kind of game I'm not super excited about, but, you know, interested. Next we have another game I'm pretty disappointed in. We've got Paper Mario. It's on my poop list. Again, it's everything bad about Paper Mario that ignores all the good Paper Mario had. Woo. Go play Bug Fables. It's Paper Mario done good. Next we have an actual good game. We've got Ghost of Tsushima. This game I sat down and played in 2 sittings, and it's great. Like I said in my Game of the Year list, though, the story doesn't really work from a gameplay perspective, because you play as this guy's sort of subconscious in a way, in that you start out as like this honorable samurai, and you're sort of turned into like this dishonorable assassin, and you have to make the choice as to like how to approach combat. Do you want to be the sneaky assassin or the samurai who makes a lot of noise but fights honorably? Except that the story basically forces you to play the assassin, which I didn't like. I love the story, but I just didn't like how the story worked from a gameplay perspective because it kind of clashed with the whole interactive concept of a game, which sucks because it's a pretty cool game. It's basically Japanese Assassin's Creed, and to be fair, I mean, Assassin's Creed fans have wanted Japanese Assassin's Creed since Assassin's Creed started being a franchise and not just a spin-off of Prince of Persia. So, you know, this gives us exactly what we want. Plus, it has the old film grain effect, so you can pretend like you're in the Seven Samurai or something. That's pretty cool. Although there are some sub-quests that require you to see color, developers didn't think that one through too much. But otherwise, it's a pretty solid game if you like those sort of Assassin's Creed style things. Next we have, and I spoiled this one a little bit earlier, we got Mushihime-sama Futari. This is the big, fancy version 1.5 boxed version that's like super expensive and fancy and comes with the DLC, but the DLC ticket was already used. But it did come with the soundtrack completely wrapped, and I've been listening to it non-stop. It's a great soundtrack. This is one of those cave shooters that you can play on any Xbox 360 because for whatever reason, Cave is awesome compared to everyone else and actually made their 360 games region free. Really unbelievably expensive, and I'm dying to get a copy of, what was it, Muchi Muchi Pork, the one that's like $600, but man, this game is damn pretty. This might be one of the best shmups I've ever played. It's certainly one of the most pretty, and I quite like that. It's just a shame the whole series is so damn expensive. Now, I had trouble finding some stuff from garage sales, but longtime subscriber to this show, Vermilion with 2 N's, everyone's favorite color with 2 sets of repeated letters, came to me and said, hey, I'm thinking about selling a lot of my PS1 stuff. Are you interested? And of course I said yes. I've got an entire video explaining this, so you can go watch that for greater detail on this stuff. But I went out and I bought a bunch of his stuff. We've got Grandal in its fabulous pink case. This is a really neat sort of Mega Man style game, although it's really, really floaty. It's the premium edition and it comes with a second disc. Not that I'm really sure what's on it. I should probably check it. It's not a soundtrack as far as I can tell, but this was a tie-in with a 3-episode OVA, or the OVA was tying with it, I'm not sure. Literally all I know about this game is there's a game and an OVA. That's literally what the Wikipedia article on this thing says. But it's neat, and I quite like it. Also, apparently this is getting really expensive and hard to find, and I paid $10 for it, and I'm quite happy with that, because it's a neat little thing that came in a pink box that just makes me say, that's a neat thing on my shelf. Next we have a game I can totally vouch for being awesome. We got Wild Arms. I've got a bad history with Wild Arms in that my first game in the series was the 4th one. The one set in the future with like the hex grid system on the PS2. Hated everything about it. Then I saw someone play Wild Arms, the original, or the opening to it anyway, like the first level, because every character has like a different prologue and they have to like assemble their team after that manually, which is a neat idea. And I said, wow, that's an awesome game. Why am I stuck with this crap? So I got it on PSN, but he was selling a physical version of this, and I have most of the Wild Arms series already physically. I've got 1 through 4. I still need 5. I still need the remake of this, which is really expensive, and I hear not terribly good, but I really want it, as well as the PSP one. But I'm coming into a nice collection of Wild Arms games, and I'm quite happy with that, because Wild Arms is good. What's a little less good? Saga Frontier 2, because it's a sequel to Saga Frontier. I don't like the Saga games too much. I played the original Saga Frontier, and really the only reason I even wanted to play the original Saga Frontier was there was a Secret of Mana cameo in it. That, and if we can go back to YouTube 1.0, I remember the Gaming in the Clinton Years episode of this, which that's an interesting series that actually has some really fascinating roots with like public access Washington TV. I've looked it up, I've seen like the full episodes of all that stuff. It's really fascinating, but this game, not so much, and neither was the original. If you want to play a good version of Saga, go play Live Alive. I'm actually streaming this series right now, slowly, but you know, go check out Live Alive and go check out my stream, hint, hint. Next we have Blaster Master Blasting Again. Oh no, that character you really, really liked from the original game, he's dead, by the way. Yeah, that's how this game starts. But this game is sort of like how like Bubsy 3D and stuff like that exist. Like back when the PS1 was really just starting out, they had like this weird trend of just reviving all these old franchises into 3D because it's the cool new thing, and it's like, whoa, it's coming at you in 3D. And most of them were crap. This one is not that bad. I would say it's subpar compared to Blaster Master. I haven't played a lot of original Blaster Master, but I remember it being pretty good. But this game, it's okay. It's no Blaster Master Zero, and I'm actually playing that right now, and that game is awesome. Go play Blaster Master Zero. Maybe don't get Blasting Again, unless you can get it cheap. Next we have a game I'm really excited about. We have the Grand Stream Saga. You might have heard of this little game called Illusion of Gaia. I've made a few videos on it, as well as its sequel, Terranigma, and its prequel, Soulblazer. Yeah, this is the 4th game in the series no one talks about because people forget there's a 4th game in the series. I haven't sunk any time into this yet, but I'm super excited about it, and when I get some time, I'm absolutely going to, because I'm such a big fan of the series. And I've heard it's not bad. It's like not a top tier RPG for the system, but it's you know, it's respectable. Next we have Mr. Driller. I've made a video on the Game Boy Color version of this. Also, I have streamed a little bit of this. I'm not the biggest Mr. Driller fan. Like, it's perfectly fine arcade game, but it's just not a game that really appeals to me all that much. But you get to play as Dig Dug's kid, and you get to drill, like, blocks and try not to get crushed. So, you know, there's stuff to do in it. It's just not one for me, really. Next we have a game that every single fighting game enthusiast with a PS1 needs to get, Evil Zone. This is a fighting game that has one-button control schemes, and it's the most amazingly anime thing ever. And despite it only having a one-button control scheme, it is like weirdly well balanced for that. Like they take that one ability and they go crazy with it, because there's like charge variants, and there's like dash variants, and there's like very, very situational anime style like cutscene attack variants. This game, it's not a serious fighting game at all, but it's also like the most serious fighting game ever. You need to play Evil Zone. It's kind of amazing. Next we have Alundra with its really, really fancy ass case. This is by Working Designs, and I've made a whole big thing on my video when I showed these off originally that I'm trying to collect for Working Designs, because I've always had a fascination with them, but they're hard to find because their games are really, really low print. And they kind of went insane when they produced them with like how they decided to do that. Look at that foil cover. Also, the back is like in gold lettering and it's embossed and stuff. Seriously, they went crazy with their games. Working Designs is really, really cool. And this is a nice sort of like top-down adventure-y RPG. I hesitate to say kind of Zelda-y style game. It's a lot of fun. I think it's pretty good. Alright, continuing the theme of Working Designs is a game that I really need to play, and I haven't had time yet, but we have Lunar Silver Star Story. And this is a guy with a very embossed hat. But this game kind of reminds me of Lufia. It's an RPG series I heard a lot about, and I think it's really, really cool, but I never really had a chance to play, but I really, really wanted to. So to finally have one in its big, thick-ass box, that's pretty cool, and I'm super excited to play it. But we're not done yet, because of course, we have its sequel. And what's really cool about its sequel is, first of all, I've heard it's a significantly better game, and the original was already no slouch, but this one is actually 100% complete. Like, all the crazy bonus shit seems to actually be in here. Like, I've been looking up stuff that was included with this, and there's like a lot of stuff. There's like standees and like an actual proper like parchment map. I believe there was a soundtrack CD or something like that in there. There is, if you're trying to collect like a complete version of this, one of the rarest things is like an actual proper prop from the game in the form of a pendant. That's in here. This is 100% complete, and I've been thinking about maybe doing like a video on like some Working Designs titles just to sort of see if we could sort of show off how cool Working Designs stuff is. And, you know, maybe. Now, I would clean this up, but we only have a few more games before I need to do that, so we'll just power through. I apologize for the clutter. Next we have One Piece World Seeker. This was one of the few games I missed out on in 2019 that I really wanted to play. I'm still missing like 3 more that I really wanted to play, but when I was younger, I really wanted to watch all the One Piece ever. When it first came to North America, I watched a little bit of it on Fox Kids, and I will defend that pirate rap as being the one good thing from that, because seriously, pirates and like gangster rap, weirdly a cool mix. Everything else about that was terrible though, and to be fair, the new version has Vic Mignogna singing, so you know, somewhere along the lines, you've got some decent vocals anyway. But this looked like a cool open world One Piece game, and I always wanted to play One Piece games, but they were all like those terrible Dynasty Warrior games, and I don't want to play those at all. That One Piece Unlimited world looked actually pretty decent though, so I might have to pick that up at some point. But this was like a giant 3D open world, sort of like Arkham, like Assassin's Creed style game. That looked pretty cool, and when I get some time to play this, I'm going to enjoy it, because it looks really rather neat. And it means I get to catch up with One Piece a little bit. I tried to watch as much of it as I could back in the day. I got to Skypiea, gave up because just nothing was happening. Trying to do it again with Netflix right now, but it's a long way coming. Luffy just kicked Arlong's ass. But next we have Dreams with the big fancy "we need to get rid of this now" red sticker because they wanted to get rid of this now. This is a content creation game for like fans to make games in, but it doesn't seem to actually have a game in it itself, which is weird to me. I don't like these fan-made content creation games. Like, I like the idea that everyone gets to express their creativity, but the thing is, very few people are game designers. I spent a good chunk of my life trying to learn the craft and perfect it, and, you know, it is something that takes a lot of work to get good at. And, you know, just giving people tools and the ability to publish doesn't necessarily do that. Like, if you go to, say, Little Big Planet, since it's made by the people who made Little Big Planet, go to Little Big Planet right now. Just pop it in your PS3, pick any random level from a randomizer. Don't go to curated lists or anything. Just randomly pick out 100 levels. Tell me right now how many of those were actually, like, legitimately good levels. Because I'm betting it'll be pretty close to a single-digit %, if that. That's the thing. Everyone is creative, not everyone's a game designer. And then of course you've got a million and one of those copy-pasted levels that say, like my level, I like yours, we all get trophies, because we care about that, and I find that peculiar. But it doesn't lead itself to a good game. And the bigger issue? No one's making stuff for this game. I've logged onto this game several times and I'm not seeing anything new, both in its curated lists and just its randomized stuff. And the stuff that I am seeing is at best lukewarm or unfinished. It's not good. It doesn't have the charm of Little Big Planet. It doesn't seem to have a player or an actual campaign made by the creators, which Little Big Planet did have, and that was actually made by game designers who knew what they were doing. This game doesn't seem to. It's kind of a problem. Alright, next we have, going back to our love of working designs, Gungriffin Blaze. Part of their Working Designs Ultra series, of which I think there is this one and I think Sylph Feed? I don't know, I've never actually seen a copy. But I do have the original Gungriffin on Sega Saturn. I don't have the sequel though. That'll be something to get at some point. But, you know, it's a Working Designs game. I kind of wanted to get it because I'm collecting them. Haven't had a chance to play because it's PS2, alas. But I remember the original Gungriffin being like a weirdly controlling game. Like you have to hold down like a button to keep walking forward, which is strange, to say the least, but it's kind of a arcadey, mechy style simulator, and those are always fun. I don't have a lot of experience with mech style games, but I do like me some mechy goodness. Next we have Orphan, Scion of Sorcery. I made a video about this. This is a very peculiar style. I hesitate to use the term RPG, and I'm not even sure I can really explain it. I've got a video on this, go watch it if you're interested, but this is weird. But I saw it in a list of like stuff recommended to other games that I was interested in, and it was like $1, so I figured why not. And you know, it's an interesting experience all the same. Next we have the thing I wanted to pick up while I was there getting these other two, and I'm sad because this does not work on my PS2. It's one of those like CDs that has like the blue back, and my PS2, when it worked, it never seemed to be able to play those. But we have Road Trip. And Road Trip, if you can tell by the fact it doesn't even remotely have its name in its name, is one of the Choro-Q games. For whatever reason, literally only one Choro-Q game ever released in English actually used that title, which is odd, to say the least. But this is like a giant open world RPG mixed with a racing game, and that really interested me. And I'm completely crushed that I can't play it. Really, really sad about that, but you know, I'm thinking, like, the disc looks fine, so I'm thinking it was just my PS2 on its way out. Like, that's the only thing I can think. But we have the final game of this little chunk that I got with this. We have Dragon Quest VIII, because I'm a big Dragon Quest fan, and I've always been told this is the best one. I've just never seen a copy. Also, the box has a ketchup stain on it for some reason. Previous owner never liked it, I guess. But it does come in this fancy box, and it comes with a Final Fantasy XII demo, which I could not be asked to care about, but it is Dragon Quest, and when I get a chance to play, I'm going to be really excited to play it. Now, we're not quite done here. I got a few more things I can show off, but I got to clean off the table just yet, but this is most of the games. There is still one more thing. I'll be back in a sec once I clean this off, and we'll take a look at the rest. Okay, so that's it for most of the stuff, but we got a few more things. For one thing, I found this book at a Goodwill, How to Draw Nintendo Heroes and Villains, where you can learn to draw things like Hold on, let's show some good stuff off. Mario! Hell yeah, Mario. I could stand to learn how to draw Mario. As well as characters like Donkey Kong. And we can do better, we can do better. We've got Tiny! And Diddy Kong, because I guess this was made during Donkey Kong 64. Okay, but there's a few more. There's King K. Rool, because of course. You gotta have King K. Rool if you're doing some N64 stuff. Notice this is all production art, by the way, that's been traced, which is not ideal. And then you've got good old Link, because take aim, practice, 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 and you can be as good as the production artists. Except I doubt it. You get Lizzo foes, because now we're starting to add Zelda stuff in here. Zelda, Armos. We got so much stuff. We can draw Link like he appears in all the cover art, because we clearly actually just traced that shit. But there's one that made me say I have to buy this. I absolutely have to buy this. It wasn't good old Wario, but you can draw Wario. But no, of course, it's the classic Kerog. What? So, apparently Villain Kerog is a Nintendo character you can draw, and he looks an awful lot like Bowser. I tried to look up Kerog, and literally the only thing I could find was this book. So somehow they mispronounced and misspelled good old King Koopa's name. And that's the thing, he's not called Kerog in any language. In Japan, he's literally just called Koopa. In English, he's called Bowser. He's not called Kerog in any language whatsoever. So, yeah, the people who wrote this weren't really paying attention. And what I found equally confusing is it's illustrated by someone who isn't the writer. Which means that you've got one person trying to write the techniques of another person who's illustrating and is also just copying, like, production art? There's about a million red flags on this being an actual good guide on how to actually draw stuff, but okay. Next we found this weird thing on eBay. See, I don't know how I did this, but I started looking up like Nintendo powers, because I never had any when I was a kid. I was too poor. And I went to eBay and I started looking up Nintendo powers, and they were all averaging like $30. And I saw this one listing that was 4 magazines for $15, and I thought that's pretty cool, but that's a bit out of my price range. I'm very, very poor. Feel free to support the show through the Patreon to change that, but I left it. And then I came back the next day and it was relisted at $10 cheaper. So it was like, no, it was $5 cheaper. It was $10. Talking is hard, and it had a best offer. So I decided, you know, I'm going to do that thing I like to do where I just send out an absurd low offer, and they're not going to take it, but I can at least, you know, console myself and say I tried, even though I didn't plan on it. They accepted my bid of $5. So we have Metroid Fusion Nintendo Power. This one's actually kind of important to me because I remember how big Metroid Fusion was when the Game Boy Advance first came out. This was like the big game for it. And I always wanted to play it. I never got a chance to, but I swear I saw someone had this, and I always wanted to read it, but of course I didn't have friends, so, you know, asking to see someone else's stuff was kind of a thing I couldn't really effectively do. But now I got a copy, and that's pretty cool. We also have Nintendo Power for Bomberman Hero. I love Bomberman Hero. Go play Bomberman Hero. It's good. Yes, it doesn't have multiplayer, but it's still a fantastic game, damn it. I'll defend Bomberman Hero forever. But I remember seeing a Bomberman Hero article in some magazine that used the armor from... It had like a production image of Bomberman from Bomberman's Second Attack, the sequel to this, kinda, where he had his like exclusive armor from that game in it. I've always wanted to see what article that was. It was not this one. But I do like Bomberman Hero, and it means that I have a second Nintendo Power now, which is kind of cool, because, you know, I went from 0 to having 2. Next we have Game Players. Never heard of these guys, but apparently they did the X-Men fighting game. Sure. As well as EGM Squared. And talking about Killer Instinct, I don't think they're going to get me any better at Killer Instinct because I'm abysmal at it. But they also have the Street Fighter the movie, the game. So you can play a game where you play as Jean-Claude Van Damme and beat up Kylie Minogue if that's what you're into, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, you know, for $5, like, these things are really expensive. When I was a kid, I remember them being like $15 each, and I wasn't allowed to have any of them. So, you know, to get a few for basically cheap, that's really cool. I kind of want to start collecting them if I could ever actually afford them. Now, over the summer, I tried to, like, build a bunch of my Gunplas, and unfortunately, I kind of hit a snag. Like, I've mentioned this in my end-of-year video, but this year I kind of got hit by pretty bad depression. I'm still kind of clawing my way out of it, but it was just because of everything this year. Family, health, relationship, just tons of issues kind of piling up, and I was just doing my best to handle it, and it was slowly eroding me. And I wanted to build my Gunplas to try and, you know, make myself feel better. During the summer, the 3 that I tried to build all broke through random happenstance in a way I could not repair them. And that did not help me feeling better. But I decided I wanted to try and build a few more. And there was this one kit I really, really wanted to get, because for whatever reason, it's a kit from a series I don't like, and it's a big chunky robot, which I don't like. But from Stardust memory, I really wanted to build the Physalis for some reason. Like, I like the Physalis, but I hate those giant thrusters on its back, and it's starting to warm up to me, even though I hate, again, those giant chunky suits. Well, there's a new kit in town, which is the Physalis if it was red. Which is kind of a problem, because I want to paint this. I'm kind of thinking about some paint jobs. If I can be asked, I'll sort of overlay one of my ideas on it. But red's a real pain to paint. You have to, like, prime it a billion different times. But the biggest issue is, if you know the Physalis, one of the big things about the Physalis is it comes with a big-ass anti-nuke shield. This does not, and that makes me kind of sad. But I also got something else that kind of made me happy. We got our first member of the original boy band, the Heavy Arms. Let's just be honest, it's not the Wing, which is my favorite mobile suit of all time, and it's not the Death Scythe, my second, but it's one of the TV designs and not one of those god-awful endless waltz things, so you know what? I'm gonna take that as a plus. So good on you, Heavy Arms. I'm actually really excited to do that. Now, this last thing, this is literally the last thing we have. Before Christmas, I got this flyer for London Drugs, which you don't know is like this local drugstore type thing. Big chain. People should know about it. And they had, like, in this this flyer, like, it was Christmas deals, and they had a deal on, like, these 3D plastic lamps. Like, these lamps looked like 3D wireframes, but they were like 2D cutouts. It was really neat, and I really wanted one because they were $1 each, and again, I'm poor, but $1 is kind of cool. Again, help support the show so I can afford nice things. But, you know, I went there and they didn't have it, which was really sad. But I did find a neon lamp in the shape of an ice cream cone that I went back and got later. But, you know, I went out with my mom around that time because she wanted to do some Christmas shopping and we thought we'd get together. And didn't find what I was looking for, but around the corner was a Bed Bath & Beyond. And she wanted to go and get herself a rolling pin so she could make cookies and stuff. Also, while we're there, why is it called Bed Bath & Beyond? Beyond is literally just kitchen. I mean, you don't get the alliteration with kitchen in there, it's, you know, but when you have the term beyond, it sounds like you've got, like, extra dimensional shit and stuff there. They did not, and it was sad. But I wanted to see if they had any more of those lamps there, because I really wanted to get a cool, cheap lamp. They did not, but they did have something interesting. And I took a look at it, and I kind of waffled on it. It's like, do I want this? Do I not? It's kind of interesting. I'm never here. I'm never going to see it again. But the thing was, it was $40. And $40, again, a lot of money to someone who doesn't have money. Again, I'm going to plug my Patreon as much as I possibly can. Help me make money through my job, please. But, you know, I saw this, and it was originally $90. It was priced down to $40, and I decided, you know what, this is cool. I can use this for my show. I'm going to do it. When I took it up to the till, they charged me $20, and I'm not going to question it because it's really, really neat. But we've got a plug-and-play, the Legends Flashback, featuring Acclaim, so there's bad stuff on here, Bandai Namco, Capcom, ColecoVision, which I don't have a lot of ColecoVision experience, although I do have a ColecoVision I'm restoring right now. Data East, so there's bad stuff on here. Disney, so there might be good stuff on here. Jaleco, which means there's going to be interesting stuff here. And Official Tetris. There's some interesting stuff down there, like you've got Aladdin, not sure which one, seeing as there was like 4 different versions of it. Dig Dug, I love Dig Dug. Donald and Maui Mallard, that's interesting to me, because There was a Super Nintendo version of that called Maui Mallard in Cold Shadow. I've reviewed it. It's a good video. Go watch it. But it wasn't this name because they had to remove the Donald name because Donald Duck was too violent in this game and they wanted to disassociate it. So the fact that they're calling it by the original name makes me think this is either like a port of the PC version, and that's really hard to get in camera and avoid that shadow, or like the Brazilian Sega CD version maybe? I don't know. I'm pretty excited to try it. They made a Fix-It Felix game. Okay, I never saw the movie, but it looks neat. Mega Man, which I think is actually Mega Man 2, as well as a bunch of other stuff. And the weird thing is, like, they list 100 games, but if you look at the back, it's actually only about 50 here. But there's a few really interesting games in here as I try and balance my camera on my lap. But they've got Donald, they've got Dragonfire. Dragonfire's really good. Heavy Barrel, that's an interesting game. Gargoyles, which I think is a Genesis game. Formation Z, which is pretty cool. Let's see, they've got EDF, the original EDF, which is a Super Nintendo shooter, I believe. They've got Joe and Mac 4, the fourth one, sure. I have not played that, though. Judge Dredd 95, not sure what that is, or Epics, Jumpman Jr. Lock and Chase is legit, though. Mappy, once again, means that I cannot, for the life of me, actually show any audio from this or I'll get sued. Mega Man 2, Freedom Fighter, Philios, Pirate Ship Higamaru. Guessing that's the arcade version because the NES port was like racist and stuff, which was weird because it was like a really cool adventure game aside from that. The unfortunately named Rodland. The Super Star Wars series, Tetris 2, that's pretty good. I've got the original. And Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I love Zombies Ate My Neighbors. That's worth like the 20 bucks I played here. As well as The Astyanax, which is a game that my college buddy Kevin introduced me to at one point. So you know what? I can only see what half the games are on this thing, but I'm intrigued. I am very intrigued. Not sure if it's going to be good, not sure if it's going to suck, but I'm putting this on a giant list of plug and plays along with my pirate videos for when I start that again. So look forward to that, and if you're part of the Discord, you know, you get to vote on that. And if you're not part of the Discord, support the show so that I can, you know, add you to the Discord so you can get a vote on this. Because this looks interesting, and I've got a lot of fun pirate carts as well. But, you know, that's gonna be it for today. The past 6 months, honestly for 6 months, that's pretty slim pickings, but, you know, the last year has been what it was. Overall, I think the best stuff we got this time was clearly the awesome PS1 stuff we got from good old Vermilion. Very excited to try those Lunar games and what I haven't there yet, but you can go see my proper video on that if you want. But anyway, this is what I've gotten over the past 6 months. Hopefully some of this stuff is going to be really, really cool to make videos with, and hopefully you're going to enjoy them. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, subscribe to the show to see more, because I'm always doing something new. You might want to check out my Twitch stream to see what else I'm doing, because I'm trying to stream pretty regularly on there when I'm not bogged down with work and life stuff. And if you really want to make my day, help support the show through the Patreon or PayPal so that I can afford nice things, because, you know, it's nice to show off nice things, and it's nice to have nice things. And, you know, being a starved artist isn't super, super fun, but this is what I'm good at. I mean, it's the best I've ever been at anything, so I'll say it's what I'm good at anyway. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you for the next video. Peace out, Internet.